So as you get into these 8 math language routines, what you're going to find is that these integrate very nicely into the try, discuss, connect routine. It's important to point out that it's not necessary or probably even recommended that you try to get all 8 of those routines into one try, discuss, connect session, but there are opportunities to get, between 1 and 3. And even that number is more off the top of my head than actually tried and true through experience. Just as a reminder, the try, discuss, connect routine is used to help students with mathematical discourse. And within the try, discuss, connect routine, there are some different stages. So first of all, students take the time to make sense of the problem. Their role within that is as they engage in that through a whole group conversation and then a partner conversation as well. Your role within that is to facilitate sense making. We're not so interested in getting to the answer. We just want to make sure that students understand who the story is about, what it is that the person or what it is that's trying to be done within the story. And then from there, we want to identify the problem that the person that we're trying to solve, and then the key and important details. From there, we move on to having students solve and support their thinking. Remember, at this point, no instruction has been provided. We're really encouraging students to independently think through how they would use what they already know mathematically and combine that with this new situation in order to solve a problem that they don't really have a clear and efficient strategy or method for solving yet. This is kind of a brainstorming session. During that independent reflection time, your responsibility or your role is to actively monitor by mining for gold. You have a goal in mind for the lesson, and you're wandering around looking for student work samples that exemplify your goal or are connected to your goal. After the students try the problem on their own and have already made sense of it, then we move on to the discuss it stage of the routine. This is where students then take their brainstorming and they share their brainstorm with a partner. They may have a conversation like, this is what I did and this is why I did it. During those partner conversations, you're actively monitoring, listening for student explanations and work samples that, again, connect back to your overarching goal for the lesson. Then we move on to the compare class strategies stage. This is where students are engaged in a whole group discussion, partner discussion, or even an independent reflection period. We're kind of ebbing and flowing through all 3 of those. While students are doing that, you've already curated work samples. You have collected them or you've identified work samples that you want to have shared. And then you're sharing those with the students and having the students connect and discuss and analyze one another's thinking. Before we wrap it up, we then head on to the connected stage. And this is where students are making connections and reflecting on those connections. This is done through whole group conversations, partner conversations, and even some independent reflection time. Again, we're ebbing and flowing in and out of those 3 scenarios. Surprise, surprise, this is the first time where we start to teach. We are summarizing the learning that has surfaced through the comparing of the class strategies, and we're connecting that to the goal of the lesson. This is actually where the teaching starts in step 5. Then we finish up the lesson with step 6, applying students' thinking to a new problem. We've just had this great experience where students have engaged in deep and meaningful mathematical discourse. And now we invite them to try their new learning with a new problem. This is done usually independently. And then once again, your responsibility or your role is to actively monitor and use this as an opportunity for formative assessment. Keep this in mind as you go through the 8 math, or as you become an expert in one of the 8 math language routines, and see if you could connect any one of these 6 steps of the try, discuss, connect routine to your math language routine.